everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, I'm set up for a straight pour. It's my favorite technique. I just love it. I love the surprise that you get from the cells and the patterns that it creates and the colors blending into 3D effects. And I mean, it just fascinates me every time. So, lots of colors going on here. For this background color slash base coat color, I have mixed Liquitex Basics Phthalo Blue with a touch of Quinacridone Magenta, a bit of the Dioxazine Purple, and a healthy amount of the Titanium White. I have here the Decoart Americana Decor Metallics in copper. This is a blend of the copper, berry, and the 24 karat gold. And this is just the 24 karat gold. Those are the colors we're working with today. These have been mixed with mix pouring medium. You can find the link to this in my description box. And they have been mixed. 1 part paint, 2 parts mix. And they are then thinned with water until I get the consistency that I want, which is, let me try to tilt this so shadow's not in the way. It is making a bit of a mound. You have to go just a hair thicker with the metallics, so it does make a mound, but it comes off the stick very easily into a nice thin stream. It was like a little blob of something. Have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards. Each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube. This is the picture of the painting in that video. This box here contains a tip for that particular technique, and here at the bottom you have the color palette used in that painting. And then these 2 boxes, those colors can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can build off of those. And there are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each color palette card has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations of paintings than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. And if you get them from Amazon, please do leave feedback. They're sticklers for algorithms over there, and feedback's a huge part of it. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is put some paint in my cup. I always like to make sure that I have some on reserve. Why is that looking so lumpy? I don't like that at all. Okay, I'm gonna lay down this base coat. The reason I paint the sides first is because sometimes the paint doesn't adhere to the sides, especially in straight pours, which are mixed relatively thin. Oh, if I did not mention, this is about a 2.5 on my consistency scale. The mixed pouring medium seems to stick pretty well, but if I use Floetrol, sometimes I don't get the best coverage on the sides. So I cover the sides first so that there's no canvas showing through if it gets thin on the edges. And so we lay down the base coat so that our paints have something to slide around on. If you pour onto a dry canvas, something has to stick to the canvas, and so it's going to be the paints that you pour. Bet that spot was bothering y'all, wasn't it? Yeah, and so then the the paints wind up rolling over top of themselves, and sometimes some of the coolest things that happen on the edge of your pour, and then you're going to lose that because the paint will roll over top of itself. Now, if you're using a base coat and you find that your paint is still rolling over top of itself, either your base coat is too thick, it's thicker than your poured paints, or you're tilting too quickly. All right, my base coat is down. I'm gonna pull out Bernie 2 times and give this a torch. 1 and a 2. Ugh. I don't like this torch. I don't like it. I promise I will be getting a new one. I won't just keep complaining about this one. All right, my base coat is down, and let's put some paint in a cup. I'm going to start with the copper. I love the contrast between blue and copper, and this is kind of a purplish blue, and both purple and blue look great against copper. It really makes it glow, or appear to glow. And then the berry copper gold mix. Always check your consistency before you put into your cup. The sauce may thicken upon standing. And so the reason that I did this mix is I wanted something with a bit more of a kind of a magenta hue to it. But I didn't want it to be pure pink. So I added some of the copper and some of the gold to it, so it kind of blended better with those two colors. On its own, it was a bit too brash. And so the Decoart Americana Decor line, whether it's the satin enamels or the metallics, they just they're great cell makers, and so that's why I use them all the time. I don't like using silicone, and this gives me really cool effects without needing it. So I'm just gonna, I reserved a bit of my background slash base coat color. The background, I call it the background. So the base coat is what goes on the canvas first, so that your paint has something to slide on. The background is the first color that goes into my pouring cup. And I call it the background because the other colors make the cells, and that one kind of falls to the background as the cells pop up. But I like to put some of that on top so that the cell makers have an opportunity to mix with another paint. You need to have that paint to have that reaction. So the Decoart paints are more matte in finish, and the background color is not quite as matte. It has a bit more of a gloss to it. So a glossy paint mixed with a matte paint is probably going to give you cells. And so that is what this reaction is. It is hydrophobic. It is not the Rayleigh Taylor instability. It is not silicone. It is fluid dynamics, baby. All right. Let's make a mess, shall we? And so these paints are going to be churning, creating a boatload of bubbles, which I will need to pop with Bernie 2 times. And I'm going to try to do this without completely messing it up. The double Fibonacci. Okay, groovy. So the reason I did that and then that and then that, what usually happens is I get my Boulder cells up in this corner, I get pop-up cells in this corner. But if I change the direction that is coming out of the cup, I'm thinking that I'll get boulders and pop-ups on both sides. And it looks like that's what's happening. It's a tricky move. And it's feeling to me like this canvas is no longer level. I don't like that one bit. So we are going to be very patient here. Boulder cells, those gorgeous 3D colorful cells, those are the ones that are popping up now and get stretched. What happens after you stretch it and then more cells pop up, I call them the pop-up cells. But these, the ones that are forming now, are the ones that will stretch and get that awesome 3D effect. And there is like some gorgeous stuff going on here. This is going to be so fiery. Bernie 2 times. Appropriately nicknamed. So we're going to pop these bubbles. And what is happening when I'm putting the paints in the cup from up high and I'm letting them churn, and then I'm pouring the paints onto the canvas and letting it churn, it's taking air down with it. And so those air bubbles, say there's, you know, an air bubble trapped in a layer of copper. And then I pop that bubble. It brings a little bit of that paint to the top. And then because this paint is hydrophobic, it pushes the other paints away and it wants to spread out. And that is how we wind up with these groovy cells. And so the more patient we are, the more cells will come up now, which will give the opportunity to stretch them and get that awesome boulder effect. I'm really wishing that I had used a 20 by 20 on this one because it's so symmetrical looking. It's very cool. Alrighty. I think I'm going to give this one more torch and get to tilting. The reason that I use a background color or a base coat color that is the same as my background color, you know, or even if I'm doing any kind of pour or flip cup, whatever, I want my background color, or sorry, my base coat color to be something that's in the painting. If this were white, if this were a white base coat and there's no white in my pour and I have white cells coming up because of the little air bubbles in your base coat, I don't like that. That's why A, you pop the bubbles in your base coat, but B, use a color in your base coat that is the same as in your pour so that you don't wind up with those little white pinheads. They kind of look like pimples. I don't like it. Gosh, I just love what's happening. I hate that I have to stretch this. It looks so cool on the edge there. That gives me ideas. Alrighty. I'm checking where my center, where the weight is. I'm also looking for any blobs that of schmutz that might mess me up, because I think I saw a little blob of something. Just giving this little bit of tilt will also help with getting more cells to pop up. As you stretch it, bubbles are popping. I'm looking for schmutz. I know it's in there, and I don't want it to mess me up. But I'm just creating more cells as I do this, so no harm, no foul. Oh. I'm trying to make a decision about composition because I love this. I love what's happening here. Like all around the edge. Remember I said the coolest things happen on the edge? That's what I'm talking about. All right. This might be getting some negative space. I'm still on the lookout for the schmutz. All right, I'm gonna bring this back to center a bit before I do that other corner, because I want to try to keep some of what my center was there. My little Fibonacci. That is the challenge on a rectangular canvas, is trying to keep your, well, for me, my Fibonacci, my center, trying to keep that intact Now see, I love this. I love what's going on there, but to me that looks like a mammogram. I mean, I need to do something. Just try my best not to tilt all those cells off. And I'm bringing the weight of the paint back to the center. Well, I hate to lose what's happening on the edge there, but I just don't like having that one corner. Oh well. Still get some cool cells out of it. And again, bringing the weight of the paint back to center. And then I can adjust my focal point, which is my little Fibonacci, and put that where I want it. Understanding where the weight of your paint is will give you so much more control over your composition. Okay. I think that's it. Whew, that was a workout. Okay, I am going to let this sit and do what it's going to do. I assume that there will probably be more cells popping up. That often happens as it sits, and I will bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. I was hoping to get a lot more of that. That beautiful. Can I get a better? That's what I was looking for. So I think that I should have put the gold in the paint in the pouring cup first. Really wish that I could have kept those cells on the edges. But you can see the crazy 3D effect it has. I mean, I'm not mad at that. I would have just liked to have more gold in that center. Lesson learned. I will probably try this combination again with the different ordering, But my center came out well. I'm good with that. In these areas, I mean, it just looks like it's glowing. Satchmo. He's in a very playful mood right now. But there it is. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Please do like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Do check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined. Always appreciate it, but certainly never expect it. You'll find the links to my affiliates, Decoart being one of them. You too can get cells without silicone. But yeah, so if you use those links, there's also Arteza and Amazon and Blick. If you use those links, anything that you purchase off of those websites, I will receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. And you'll also find the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards for sale. And of course, the cards are also available on Amazon. And last but certainly not least, our Facebook group, Go Make Some Art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. All that good stuff. Well, folks, that is it for me for today. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.